There's another theme that I have to tackle in regards to Beyonce and just the secrecy that comes with working with her and her camp.
Because that is the way the music industry works. And to deny that is delusional. And what I will not allow is for anybody to make me feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone, because I know I'm not in the Twilight Zone.
Do you think Beyonce's a thief? You think she's a plagiarist? You think she just steals from songwriters and takes advantage of them? Beyonce is one of the greatest artists, performers, and vocalists of all time. Time and time again, she has impacted culture and has influenced many trends and artists along the way for well over 20 years. With Act 2 Cowboy Carter on pace to sell 352,000 units in its first week, it is clear that we are still very much in a Beyonce-dominated era. What keeps Beyonce so dominant, talent aside, is that she is able to tap into other talented artists and collaborate to make something that will stand the test of time. Songwriters usually play the background, and many times are the forgotten, yet they're probably the most important people in the song creation process. Their identities possess the secret ingredient that keeps even veterans like Beyonce sharp and as progressive as they possibly can be. And even the most talented artists like Beyonce knows that the music benefits most when there are fresh voices in the mix. Beyonce frequently collaborates with many talented artists and producers. Some of her most frequent collaborators include James Fauntleroy and The Dream, but I wanted to highlight a very talented young woman that is blazing a trail of her own. A woman that Beyonce sees that this particular woman will likely go on to have a coveted career of her own. If you don't know by now, meet Beyonce's secret weapon, Nija Charles.
So to know like the impact that I have on them during the meet and greets, and to really connect with them while on stage has been crazy, and it's opened my eyes and like motivated me to do more.
The 26-year-old songwriter and producer began working with Beyonce at just 18 years old, and she has already built a strong catalog. In only her first 3 years in the industry, she was graced with the opportunity to work with Jay-Z and Beyonce, Chris Brown, Cardi B, Ariana Grande, Kehlani, and more. Nija's rich musical background and work ethic align her with multiple opportunities that come very far in between for most artists in this industry. The songwriter and vocalist is from New Jersey, and she initially wanted to be a producer when she saw artists like Pharrell and Ryan Leslie growing up writing on top of their own beats. Nija saw it as a way for her to shop her own beats around. And then over time, she became more known as a songwriter because she was writing on other people's instrumentals. Nija attended the prestigious college of Clive Davis Institute of Recorded Music at NYU before dropping out to pursue music full-time. Nija says, "I was just trying to figure out ways to get my beats heard. I realized that people don't go on SoundCloud looking for beats. People want to hear songs. I thought that if I sung on my beats, they have a better chance of being heard, and people would realize that I'm the producer. But it ended up working in the opposite way. They thought I was the singer." Producers would send snippets that I put up on Instagram and DM me asking if I could top line on their beats too. I was writing like 10 songs a day from all the beats I was getting.
So this one is my #1 Billboard plaque for the Carters album. I've done everything that I want to accomplish this year.
The secret to Nija's style is her vulnerability. She's able to take real life situations and convert them into powerful songs. Nija's strengths also lies in not fitting into one box. And she has a genuine love for multiple genres, and she's able to blend all of them to fit a unique style and perspective. She was exposed early on by her family to multiple genres, as well as creating drum programming and melody loops via the production software Fruity Loops. Her influences come from a lot of pop, rap, and R&B. Her influences are much of a melting pot, which contribute to her freeform structure. Her rapid success afforded her the opportunity to relocate to LA as she signed a publishing deal with Universal Music Group at just 20 years old. Nija was asked a question in an interview about what is she like in the studio, to which she replied that she has a different approach depending on the genre of music she is working on. She says, "I go in with a clear head. It's not a ritual, but it's a different mindset for urban and pop. For pop, you're usually starting from scratch. I'll just have a musician play chords, and the chords are what inspires a feeling. With urban music, because it's such a drum genre, I need to feel the whole beat before I go in the booth. It just needs to invoke a kind of feeling. I'll just tell the producer to play through a couple of beats, and whatever one sparks something in my chest is the one that gets loaded up, and I see what comes out. When you're this talented and diverse, word gets around quick, and eventually, those that you once idolized are well within reach." I read on Nija recalling the opportunity to work with Beyonce. Nija said, "Wonder Girls manager Brandon Kitchen got a few of my songs over to her team. She heard them, loved them, and she wanted to bring me onto the project. Nija ended up writing Heard About Us and Love Happy. And it's funny about that story because she thought she only had one placement until after, when the project officially was released, she learned on Twitter that, oh, she also has credit on another song. As she worked with Beyonce during her collaborative album with Jay-Z, The Carters, she remembers flying to Paris to work alongside The Dream and James Fauntleroy as writers on the album. Now that I've been able to highlight Nija's talent and contributions to the music industry, to not just Beyonce's work, but many other talented artists in this industry as a whole. And Nija's proved her staying power through her talent and her work, and it's a testament that she'll probably be here for a very long time. However, there's another theme that I have to tackle in regards to Beyonce and just the secrecy that comes with working with her and her camp, which is the main focal point and inspiration for this video. And there's a narrative about Beyonce that is prevalent in discourse on this platform and on social media in general. And you'll see across YouTube many videos of content creators tying into this long history of Beyonce stealing or plagiarizing music. This video isn't that. And I believe I can tackle this topic without disregarding her talent and contributions to the world in the music industry. I still recognize Beyonce as a strong contributor to these records and serving as an inspiration to many artists. Since she's the biggest name, her aura and her essence stands as this beacon of hope. She has the power to change how songwriters are being treated. Her voice matters that much in the culture. Now, I don't believe any one person can change an entire industry that's built to benefit the top 1% of the industry, but certainly a domino effect could happen. And even if Beyonce is not as vocal about what is happening to songwriters, that doesn't dismiss the opportunities that she provides for songwriters. And we can just take Nija, for example, and what Beyonce has been able to do to help her career. She makes her impact felt in different ways. While I don't agree with the plagiarism or vulture, thievery, stealing accusations that have been thrusted onto Beyonce and how she's taken advantage of multiple songwriters or multiple artists, I cannot agree with it simply for the fact that she's given so much to our culture and our people, and she's given a lot to songwriters and artists. However, at the top of some of these business deals and some of these songwriter splits, they are unfair, but I do not place blame on Beyonce. I blame the structure, which I feel like is the most plausible way to approach this and the most productive way to direct our energy is attacking the structure and figuring out how we can do what we can to benefit the songwriters, what we can do as consumers, and also what songwriters are already doing for themselves to ensure they get a fair split. Now, would it help for Beyonce to openly exercise her voice to side with songwriters? Absolutely. But is it a requirement? No. Will things change in a positive way for songwriters with or without Beyonce vocalizing these issues? Of course. As you can see in this core order, I think it will slowly start to happen.
Almost all of my friends are in the music industry and write for your favorite artists like a Beyonce. So I'm not up on the internet just talking shit and making things up. I'm not stupid. I ain't trying to get sued. That's called defamation. I'm not defaming anybody. I am coming to y'all with things that I can back up. But the reason why I'm bringing up my experience with every artist or almost every artist that I've worked with that has taken publishing that they did not earn on the songs that I wrote for them is because there is a precedent that's set. The reason why I called out Beyonce is because Beyonce is the Michael Jackson of our generation. And so if there's anybody that could reshape the precedent, if there's anybody that could influence the industry, that had the power and the money and the cultural thing to say, you know what, y'all, you're right. These songwriters have been out here. We've been in the street. Literally, I have been in the street in front of Spotify. I've been in front of Universal. I have sat and I have talked to all y'all publishers. I talked to y'all publishers. I talked to the DSPs. I talked to the copyright royalty, the U.S. Copyright Office. I talked to NMPA. I talked to RIAA. I talked to SONA. I talked to NSAI. I talked to all of them. And guess what? Y'all are still broke.
And I saw this clip from Money Long about how delayed their payments are.
And then the money part, because a lot of people be like, songwriting, you make so much money. you gotta understand there is a pipeline. So I might write a song today and I won't see $1 for 2 years.
Sheesh.
So what job do you know that you work on spec like that for that long? Imagine going to work and you don't get your first check 2 years after your first day. That's crazy. You gotta have
Some things that I wanted to accomplish with this video was to highlight how this rollout process for Beyonce has been nothing short of amazing. Cowboy Carter was previously on pace to sell 350,000 records first week. Now it's on pace to sell 400,000 records. A couple publications have already labeled this album an instant classic, and that is astounding considering the risk that she took with this country album and the pushback that she received from certain people, and how it's still a critically acclaimed album. I wanted to highlight that and her achievements and her dedication, her work ethic, and her contributions to our people and to popular music, to the cultural zeitgeist, everything. Beyonce is everything. One of the greatest performers, entertainers, vocalists, musicians of all time. I also wanted to highlight the songwriters that are included in that magic making process, included in Renaissance and Cowboy Carter, and just throughout her career she's been so great at tapping into other great songwriters, vocalists, and musicians, which is the purpose of song creation, is the collaboration process. That's what takes music to the next level. That's what makes music magical, and that's what makes music stand the test of time. So I wanted to highlight a talented songwriter in Nija, and very well accomplished. I wanted to also tackle the idea that Beyonce is stolen from artists and she's a plagiarist, and you hear Erykah Badu mention this, make light of it. You saw Khalees make light of it. You hear Azalea Banks chime in every now and then. And you see on this platform people accusing Beyonce of stealing. I think that us as artists, content creators, musicians, we have this pool and wealth of information, and we think of it as a library. I like to give the Pharrell analogy that if you don't check out this idea when you feel the inspiration, it's like a book. If you don't check it out, another artist will. And we're all exposed to the same pool of information, right? And I think that Beyonce capitalizes on her resources, but also adds her own twist with her talent, her voice, her knowledge, that it doesn't make it stealing. It makes it collaborative. Many artists like Sia and Neo have said that they've pitched ideas and melodies, and she'll change a melody line. She'll add a harmony line. She'll add vocal production. Well, at that point, you're adding to the collaborative process. You're not stealing. You're adding to it. You're a writer. Now, where I disagree on is the percentage. Tiffany Red was speaking about this, that if I write a majority of the record, this person shouldn't get the lion's share of the publishing split. Now, I agree with her on that, and songwriters are battling. They're in court. I threw a couple settlements that are on the screen, but there is still a long way to go. And I think it's important to highlight these songwriters' fights and battles and what they have to do to earn just a decent, livable wage in an industry that's generating so much revenue and giving so little to some of the most important people in the industry. It just doesn't make sense. And when you see stories like Money Long, it really crystallizes how stepped on the songwriters are, and it shouldn't be like that. I hope that changes sooner rather than later. But you let me know in the comment box what you thought about all this. Do you think Beyonce's a thief? You think she's a plagiarist? You think she just steals from songwriters and takes advantage of them? I don't know. I disagree, but you let me know in the comment box down below. Steel of Venus always. I'll be safe. Sweet.